What is up, Gaster Nation and Nitro Union? Welcome back to the channel, and on this episode, this is actually going to be telling you guys the story of Miss Fitt, our 63 Ford Fairlane radical 60 style drag car that we've been running since about 2014. This first episode is going to tell you about the initial build, and I've got an interview of Dad, and he's going to tell the whole story. We're going to put in pictures and then videos of the entire build process and then the initial setup of the car. This was a 289 tonal ram, 4-speed setup. This was the first iteration of Miss Fitt. So I have so many pictures and videos of this car, it's going to take probably 3 episodes to tell the entire story because it's been since 2014 up until now. So you guys stay tuned. I'll let Dad carry it away.
I suppose back around the mid-90s, we was always going to a swap meet down at Clawson Racing. Our favorite thing is swap meet. Well, on Highway 51, just north of Roseland, Louisiana, there sat this little 63 Fairlane off on the side of the road. It had just been there so long it went down in the dirt. And of course, we had to stop and ask about it. My Uncle Spud, he loved it. It was me and him always, or him and I, we always went to the swap meets together. That's our passion. So we stopped and asked about the little Fairlane. A man came out there and he said, "It's not for sale, it belongs to my sister. But I tell you boys, this thing is fast. It's probably too fast, because I rode in it once and we pulled up to the red light and it's sitting there clucking like a chicken. And that made us want the car that much worse. Well, it wasn't for sale. So he did let us look at it. So we went over and looked at it. 1963 Fairlane 500 Sport Coupe. Peeped inside, had the shag carpet in it, homemade wooden console, and a Hers 4-speed shifter. Man, this is it. So we opened the hood on it. Boss got out there, of course. And little 289 Cobra valve covers, Cobra intake manifold on it. I said, man, this thing, we got to get this car. So this was probably around 95, something like that, mid-90s. We'd go to that swap meet maybe 3 times a year. Every time we go by, we'd pass by that Fairlane and stop and ask about it. My Uncle Spud would always leave his phone number with the man. Never was for sale. And we wanted this car bad. Well, I suppose January the 2nd of 06, we passed by there. The Fairlane was gone. You could see the tracks where they had pulled it out. It was muddy tracks. Man, our heart, we just sunk. Man, who got this car? We've been out this car for so long. Well, we went to the swap meet and we was kind of butthurt about it for a long time because we really wanted that car. We've had our eye on it for years. So my Uncle Spud got sick and died in latter part of January of 06. So we rocking along there, and in October my phone rang at the shop and there was a lady on there that said, "I'm looking for Spud Leggett." I said, "Well, he passed away, but can I help you?" He said, "Well, I'm the lady that's got the 63 Fairlane down in Roseland, Louisiana, and I was going to see if he wanted to buy it. I'm ready to sell it." I said, has passed, but I would love to buy the car. I went right in, bought the car. I didn't try to, I give the lady what she asked for, no questions. We got down there, the car had been pulled out. That's where we had seen it been pulled out in the muddy tracks. It was right down the road in a garage. It had never been seen again that she hadn't called me. So I bought the car and brought it home. Fool was there for about a day or two and actually got it cranked up and running. It wasn't froze up anything. It hadn't frozen, busted. It run. Of course, like everything else, it got shoved to the side of the shop and started collecting rust and dust and spider webs and all that kind of stuff. So I did drag it out once and we sanded it down and put it in primer to keep it from rusting. And then got out it to a friend of mine's house, and they was working on some hot rods and stuff, and there could have been a little beer involved, but we got a bet going. Who can build the car the quickest and spend no money? Do it like the old days, old school, no money swapping and trading. Had to do it with stuff around the shop. Other than safety stuff, brakes, anything like that, you spend money on that. But everything else, that was part of the bet. So it was 3 of us. We made the bet, and I was a little younger then, and I flew into the car and we started building. Well, I got the car up and built and started painting it. Of course, I won the bet. One of the guys, well, both of them kind of dropped out. But that was a pretty expensive 6-pack of beer, but I won it. Every piece of this car has got a meaning to it. Everything. If you find something in that car, if you want to ask me about it, I tell you what it means. Every nut and bolt has got a story behind all of it. Most of you probably don't want to hear all that, and I'm sure it's like a lot of other people's cars. I mean, it's just constantly working in your brain. You get something in your brain, I got to get it out. I put it on the car. We started painting it. I said, when is it too much? I said, when I run out of room. There's no place else to put something different. I had all these designs in my head going all the way back to high school. My auto mechanics teacher, we painted my Mustang in high school. Kind of along the same line of what Miss Fitt's painted now. So before all that, we didn't have a name for the car, so everybody that hangs out at my shop just kind of riffraff, no place to go. Where a girl walked into my shop, he said, look at all these misfits hanging around up here. This looks like on Rudolph, Island of Misfit Toys. All you guys sitting around here drinking beer. I said, well, that's it. That's the name of the car, Misfit. So that's what we put on the car, Misfit. I did a little research on it. Like I say, everything's got a meaning to it. We spelled Misfit with 2 S's and 2 T's. Misfit. Miss, it's a girl. Fit, F-I-T-T. Women throws fits. Girls will throw a fit. And then on the other side of that story is kind of along the military base. There were some fighter planes, bombers, named Misfit. And like I say, every part of that car has got a meaning to it. So I'm building on Misfit, as hard as I can go day and night. We swapping and trading. We're constantly on the telephone, calling and hunting stuff. So a friend of mine, Larry Griffin, he kind of takes care of me, watches out for me. He had went down to Atomic Blast in Gulfport and spotted some aluminum wheels down there, brand new in the box, never been mounted. And he sent me a picture of them. He said, I think you might like these. It's a pretty good deal on them, So he gave me the guy's phone number. So I called them, and they was looking for some parts themselves. I said, well, I can hook you up. We can do some more trading. No money out of my pocket, which I ain't got no way. But anyway, Judd Pease and Pierre came up from Gulfport, brought the wheels. And I had some rear end parts, some differential parts, positive traction. So we did some swapping and trading. And I got the wheels from them to go on Misfit the first time. So it's a brand new set of wheels in the box that had never been mounted, and I didn't have to spend no money for them. So I was good to go on that. And then while Judd and Pierre was there, they got to telling me about have you ever got hooked up with the Southern Gassers? I said, never heard of them. And he said, well, you need to call this guy right here. So he gives me Frankie Allen's phone number. So I called Frankie. I didn't know. It's a whole Southern Gasser group. It turns out Boogie Scott, one of the founding members. Man, Boogie Scott built a rear engine dragster for me back in 1983. I knew a lot of these guys already. I just didn't know they had a Gasser group. I had been out of racing for a while. So anyway, I called Frankie, and Frankie said, well, we got a race coming up at No Problem, but before that, we got a car show in Pensacola. Why don't you bring it down there? And I'm thinking, man, I don't have this car even. It's all to pieces. So all the more reason to thrash it. We started thrashing on the car. I talked back and forth with Frankie once in a while. Then I got Jesse Holmes' phone number, and I called Jesse. I don't know if any of you guys had ever talked to Jesse, but once you get on the phone with him, you there. So Jesse gave me all the information. So me and my friend Bryant Moog, I didn't even have a truck or trailer. I borrowed Bryant's truck. We hauled the car to Pensacola, and it's just thrown together. We pull up to the gate down at the fairgrounds in Pensacola, and I see this dude. He's a quarter mile over there with a big straw hat on. He's jumping up and down, waving his arms. I said, Brian, what's wrong with him? He said, I don't know, but he's motioning me around. Well, I couldn't go. I had to go around the building, and this guy's just running as hard as he can to get to me. That was Jesse Holmes, first time I ever seen Jesse. Treated us like kings. He didn't know. We were far from kings, but Jesse's a good dude. We got the car unloaded, and got to meet a lot of really good guys, and had a good show down there. A lot of gassers, and anyway, we had a good time and took a lot of pictures, and I met Ronnie Sanford down there for the first time. We made it back home with the car, and then we went to the race with Frankie Allen and them, and No Problem. And I can say, I didn't know you could miss so many gears of a 4-speed. The 289 was just up screaming. Of course, it had been sitting, the inspection sticker on this car was still 1980, so it had been sitting that long. I wasn't expecting the motor to run, period. So I tore the motor up. We broke it. Engine. Sorry about that. So I brought it home, and then we started stepping up like always. So I don't know what to say, but just kind of a passion to do this. And of course, I'm about halfway through building it, and my mind's already done switched over to another car. So I just pretty much work in circles. I get sick of this one, I'll move to the other and work on it for a little while. And every once in a while, something will come out of the shop. And but we've hung with Miss Fitt for a pretty good while. It's been through, what, 2-3 rebuilds now, complete rebuilds. And started out with just re-splined axles. That didn't last long. I've paid my dues in this car. I knew better to start with, but it was originally going to be just a little street car that we could take to some of the car shows, take to the drag strip, and have some fun. But like everything else, it gets out of hand. It will eat up as much money as you want to feed it. She's hungry right now, but I'll get her back out soon, and we'll go some more with it, you know.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next week also. This will be the second episode of this, which will be the blown injected small block Ford iteration of the car, and then we'll go on into the big block iteration of the car. So like I said, there's so many stories and everything that we've been through. We've been running this car for so long that it's just a lot to try to put in one video. So it's either going to be 2 or 3 videos to cover the whole story of this thing. But I hope you guys enjoy it. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more, and appreciate you guys' support so much, and we'll see you next week.